We're here today on Liberation Day, as Trump is calling it, where the entire planet is about to be tariffed within an inch of their lives. What do you make of all this?
I don't think it's chaos, certainly, but there's certainly a huge amount of disruption. The thing is, Piers, as you know, this is the disruption that Donald Trump promised, and it is the disruption that his voters voted for. They asked for exactly the things that he is giving them. They are getting what they wanted. And, you know, people can complain about some of that, but it's not like Donald Trump didn't talk about tariffs on the campaign trail. It's not like he didn't talk about deportations of illegal migrants in the US on the campaign trail. This is literally what people voted for. And the best critique, as far as I can see, that any of Trump's critics can have, apart from criticisms of specific policies, is the president is actually doing what the president promised to do. Now, I know a lot of people are unhappy with what he's doing, and other people are unused, really, to actually political leaders doing what they say they're going to do when they get into office. But that is the case with Trump. And we'll see. There are all sorts of quibbles and all sorts of... There are some serious things already, it has to be said, that have gone wrong. But we're more than 2 months into the new administration now. And I think if you compare this administration to Trump 1 in 2016 to 20, it's night and day when it comes to the pandemonium accusation.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, there's a lot going on. But one thing that is not getting enough attention, I don't think, is what he's achieved already on the southern border. You and I have talked about this many times, but there's been an almost complete stop of this extraordinary tidal wave of illegal migration over the southern border in under 3 months.
That's right. That's right. And I mean, one of the things I'm not sure that enough people outside of America are aware of is that this is something, it's not an abstract issue. It's something that affects cities like the one I'm sitting in at the moment, New York. When the southern border crisis was at its worst, southern governors, absolutely overwhelmed by illegal migrants, started busing them up to cities like this one. And basically the city ran out of hotel rooms to give to the migrants, ran out of housing for them. The mayor of New York, a Democrat, Eric Adams, said that the city of New York was facing an existential crisis, a catastrophe. So yes, remedying that is going to be difficult. And I'm sure, and there already have been cases of people who have been deported from the US who appear not to be people who ought to have been deported. And that's terrible, that should be reversed. But it's sort of inevitable when you're trying to reverse something as massive as the Biden-era border weakness.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me on the question of the deportations, what they've got to be careful about, nobody objects to genuine, horrendous criminals who are here illegally in America. I'm in the States as well at the moment, here illegally, you know, who've committed crimes, never mind entering the country unlawfully. No one objects to them being deported, but if you get people who slip through the net, there's a cry, which I think is completely justified, of where's the due process? You know, are they going a little too fast on some of this stuff, do you think?
I don't think they are, actually. I don't think they're going fast enough. And you say that there are people who don't object to it. There certainly are. I mean, there are Democrat senators, Democrat representatives, people like the mayor of Boston, Mayor Wu, it is, I think, who said recently, you know, Boston is a city for everyone. Anyone who is in Boston, whether you've just arrived, you're as much a part of Boston as anyone else. And of course, that's crazy. I mean, you know, I've often said about the situation in our country of birth, the UK, you can either have open borders or you can have a welfare state, but you can't have both. In the same way, you can't, no country can actually treat somebody who's arrived illegally, even if they haven't committed a crime in America. Nobody can sensibly pretend that somebody who's just arrived illegally into, say, Boston has all the same rights as somebody whose family has been paying taxes in Boston for generations. So there are certainly people who object. There are certainly going to be mistakes. But one of the reasons why this is so high stakes and important is not actually just for America. That's the most important thing for Trump and his voters, of course. But it's also whether or not other countries can actually do the same thing, whether other countries can secure their borders and make sure that people who are in the country illegally, especially first and foremost those who've committed crimes, can be deported from the country. Italy is struggling with that. France is struggling with that. Britain is a sort of somewhere before the period of struggling with it. But everyone's facing it, and we know that, and it has to be addressed.
Like I say, we're here as Trump's about to announce the tariffs. Putting aside all the debate about it, do you actually personally think it will work?
I'm open on this. It could work, and it could be a disaster. I mean, it's a long-term vision. That's one of the most important things about this. And the long-term vision on tariffs, as far as I can see, rights a trade problem which the US has had, which Donald Trump, again, for decades has pointed out. And but there will be short-term turmoil without doubt. So we'll see whether it works. But the one thing I would say, though, which I am concerned about, I think everyone should be concerned about, and a lot of Americans, particularly of the left, but also Republicans, are concerned about, is the extent to which this is being played against American allies in a way which is unwise. I mean, my own view, there are all sorts of criticisms to make of the Canadian government, both under Justin Trudeau and now under Mark Carney. There are all sorts of criticisms, but I don't think America needs to make an enemy of Canada, any more than I think it needs to make an enemy of Denmark. So I think there is some sort of table thumping and some sort of bully behavior that is unappealing. And Donald Trump might better be right on this issue, because if not, not only will he not improve the American economy, he will have made totally unnecessary enemies of some of America's closest and most historic allies.